What is happening, football fans? Welcome back to another electrifying episode of Gridiron Glory. I'm Jaush Huntsberger. It's week 9, and as I've preached for the past few weeks, these final matchups have the most riding on them for a chance at the postseason. Not to mention, all of our conferences were still up for grabs entering tonight's action. To see if any teams were available to clinch a league title, let's get rolling. After dropping their second straight matchup last week in a 35-0 blowout, Williamstown entered tonight sitting at 3-4 with slim hopes of making the playoffs. The Yellow Jackets were hoping for a win tonight against Parkersburg Catholic just for a chance to finish the season at 500. We now welcome our West Virginia reporter, Ian McConville. Ian, Williamstown, they had their work cut out for them tonight.
Yeah, Josh, they certainly did. The Jackets had an uphill battle in front of them this week. During the Jackets' recent two-game stid, they only scored a combined 17 points while allowing a combined 57. That obviously won't get the job done, but head coach Terry Smith told me this week that the Jackets would stay the course and stick to what brought them to the dance, running and solid defense. It was a cold and rainy night tonight in Williamstown, and it was obvious that tonight defense would be the showcase for both sides. Here, Parkersburg Catholic would try to take the ball, and Mitch Davis would run to the right, but he would get met by the Jackets defense. And then, later in the drive, Peyton Sturm's pass would be intercepted by David Hastings, but he's not content with just the ball, Josh. He wants to score as well, and he would take it all the way to the house to give the Jackets the lead. The ensuing kickoff, Davis will take it out to the 45-yard line for Parkersburg Catholic. He's going to get a nice follow-through on the seam. He's going to get it all the way out to the 45-yard line, setting the Crusaders up with some very solid field position. He'd finally get forced out there, and then that drive would stall, however, and now with 3:20 remaining in the first half, we finally see the Williamstown offense. Jake Traceville keeps the ball himself and gains 6 yards. Now in the second quarter, Schreier bounces off a couple tackles and gets himself a solid 8-yard game. The Williamstown students are trying to get their defense to make a stop, and they would happily oblige. Davis will be sacked on this play. Dakota Washington with the initial hit, and then Zach Soprano and Tracewell would finish the job. Next play, Davis's pass is going to be tipped by Tracewell, and it falls into the hands of number 88, Nick Rodersheimer, to extend the Crusader drive. Now, nearing the end of the first half, Davis's pass is complete to Rodersheimer, who gets tattooed by Hastings. There would be very little offensive production on this game, as the Jackets would go on to win 7-0 over Parkersburg Catholic. That pick six was the only scoring drive of the game. Now, Williamstown had 0 offensive first downs in the entire first half. So you can see that tonight, ball control and footing was just an instant problem for both offenses tonight, really.
All right, well, I mean, the only thing we can talk about from this game, Ian, talk about that defense.
Well, defenses both ways were just absolutely lights out tonight. And you obviously know that that had to do something a little bit with the weather. Footing was struggling. These are teams that both rely heavily on running the ball. So it's obvious that you know that these two teams are going to rely very much on what they do in the ground game. And with the rain and field conditions tonight, it was just not going to work out.
All right, now, they got the win, Williamstown, but they got a lot of things they need to work on offense, Ian.
Yeah, they obviously do. It's just a matter of you're going to want to try and throw a couple more kinks in there. You know what you're going to get out of Williamstown every week. They like to establish the ground game. They like to throw it over the air when they get the chance. Now, teams are starting to load the box on them. They're trying to stop that run game so they never get really any offensive balance. So Williamstown, you're going to have to throw something out there to try and change things up. They went Wildcat the first series of the game last week.
All right, well, Williamstown gets the win tonight. Let's see if they can make playoffs later on. Thanks a lot, Ian. Now, Jackson entered tonight with an undefeated conference record and a seemingly winnable matchup against Chillicothe. But after a quick glance at the Cavaliers' non-conference schedule, it's easy to see that they've had a tough road. With games against Big Walnut, Thurgood Marshall, and St. Francis de Sales, Ron Hinton's boys have seen some talent, and they hoped that experience would help them out tonight against the Ironmen. We now welcome our SDOAL reporter, Carter Rodriguez. Carter, with Gallia still undefeated in the league, how important was this win for Jackson?
Well, obviously, it was huge for the Ironmen if they wanted to win an unopposed SEOAL title, and they've accomplished that for the past 2 years, as they're squaring off with the Blue Devils in Week 10. Now, let's head over to Holzer Field, where the Jackson Ironmen were blacking out to beat cancer in honor of a local student, PJ Blair. And we're starting about midway through the first quarter. Jackson's punting hits a Chile player in the back of the leg, and Jackson's going to recover. And you know what? They're going to do something with it. Jackson running back Gabe Griffiths swings out to the right towards our cameraman, makes the touchdown. That's 7-0 Jackson. Gets some love from his teammate as well. But Markel Caney doesn't want it to stay that way. He returns the ensuing kickoff, makes a few men miss, gets some blocking, and he is taken off. He gets all the way into Jackson territory before he goes down. And still 7-0 Jackson going into the second quarter. However, Ryan Mathis drops back, hits his buddy Adam Bixler on a slant. He takes off, Ironman defender misses. He's all the way out. Oh no! Drops the ball. And Josh, that's not what you want.
You never want to see that.
No, and it's the same drive. This time Mathis hits Isaiah Johnson, and he also drops the ball. Chile recovers the fumble, again getting some luck, and a couple drives later, Mathis just says, fine, I'll just do it myself. He takes it in all the way from 28 yards out. It's 7-7, all tied up. Jackson's trying to find some momentum, however, and Morgan Landrum knows quite a bit about momentum. And he's not the least bit interested in falling out. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, all the way to a 16-yard gain. Goes into half 7-7, and Chillicothe is going to pull off a stunning 14-13 upset. Josh, let me tell you a little bit about how this game ended. In the third quarter, Jackson quarterback Steven Kearns scored on a touchdown, but they had 2 false starts before the PAT, and they missed the field goal. And then in the fourth quarter, Markel Kane put it in for Chillicothe, and they hit their PAT 14-13. Chillicothe, stunning upset.
Well, regardless of all the madness, Carter, Chillicothe held that high-scoring offense of Jackson to just 13 points. We're not used to seeing that.
No, we're not, Josh. And I'll tell you what, Jackson was held to 167 yards on the game. That's just not something we're ever used to seeing. They were flying to the ball, and that Jackson running attack just never got off the ground.
All right, now 3 of the 4 losses the Ironmen have had this year have been at home. Andy Hall, that's just very unusual for him.
Well, you know, losing it all is unusual for Andy Hall. And, you know, that's 4 losses this year for the Ironmen. Not their typical year. However, they still have a shot at that SCOAL title.
All right, well, we'll be looking forward to that one next week. Carter, Gallia Academy, hosting Jackson. Thanks a lot, buddy. Now, last week we announced our top 5 candidates of who will have the chance to be named the Gridiron Glory Player of the Year. Since the polls open after tonight's show, here's a quick reminder of who you can vote for. Now, to vote for your favorite finalists, send an email to playeroftheyear@woub.org. All you need to do is type the player's name and hit send. Each person will get 1 vote, and again, the polls will open after tonight's show. Now, it's now time on our show for extra points. Same old song and dance here. 2 games, 1 minute. What more could you ask for? We're going to start things out with the Trimble matchup at Southern at Roger Adams Field. Bryce Smathers, broken arm and all, making tacklers miss, gets a 21-yard pickup for the Tomcats here in the first quarter. Justin Jenkins, their other running back, 15-yard pickup here after making even more guys miss. That would lead to a 7-0 Trimble lead. Now Southern here on the screen. Trenton Deem picks up 27 yards, but Trimble would hold on to this one 21-0. Switching things over. Athens at Meggs. Player of the Year candidate Joey Burrow. Pump fake up top to Ryan Lerman for a 26-yard touchdown. After trailing early, Athens got back in this one, and their defense helped them out with a big 5-yard loss here. And then back to Joey Burrow again. The guy can do it in the air. He can also do it on the ground. Picks up 13 yards inside Meggs territory. They win this one 47-14. Now, I think it's safe to say that all of our Buckeye fans out there have regained full confidence that they have the best team in the TVC-Ohio. After last week's 55-7 beatdown of Alexander, Nelsonville-York has now beaten their last 6 opponents by an average of 41 points. Tonight, they traveled to MacArthur to take on a 1-win Vinton County squad with hopes of building momentum towards Week 10. We're now joined by our TVC-Ohio reporter, Pat Moore. Pat, what did you see from Nelsonville-York out there tonight?
Well, I saw another win by them. I mean, that's their 7th one in a row, this time beating Vinton County by a score of 46-6. And the Buckeyes got the offense going early. And when I mean early, I'm talking first play from scrimmage. Joe Young had a 54-yard touchdown run. And then right after that, the defense would step up. They get the ball right back. And Joe Young again, this time 50 yards for the touchdown, and it wouldn't get worse because Mark Carter 64 yards after that, and Vinton County was actually then pinned deep into their own territory. There was a botched snap because of the rain, and Nelsonville-York got the recovery. That's a touchdown for them. I mean, they were up 25-0 early in the first, and they finished up the half actually at 46-0. Starters were pulled before halftime.
All right, high-scoring offense for Nelsonville-York. We've been talking about it for weeks now, and it's all about the rushing attack. Now, got to ask you, do you attribute their success to that backfield or to that offensive line?
I mean, you got to give both. You got to give credit to both.
Okay,
I mean, this offensive line, they're hitting their keys. The schemes are great, but you got to also give it to the running backs too, because this rushing attack, you've got the elusiveness to Joe Young, but also Clint Handa and also Mark Carter. These guys can really do some damage after contact.
All right, now, for those of you who don't know, Athens also won tonight. That makes for another TVC-Ohio championship game in Week 10, second year in a row, folks.
Yeah, I mean, going after Week 1, both teams finished it 0-1,
right.
And now we're talking. This is fantastic. Another Week 10 matchup. Last year, Athens with the heck of the dramatic win in overtime with the field goal, and with the before in the past years, Nelsonville-York's really had Athens' numbers, but the Bulldogs, they turned the tables on them last year, and going into this matchup, I got to give the slight edge to the Bulldogs.
All right, well, they both have solid offenses, so it may come down to who has the better defense, Nelsonville-York against the pass or Athens against the rush?
I got to give it to Athens against the rush. I mean, this defense has been scrappy. The second half, they've just dominated. And also, I got to give it to Athens because I just don't think the Nelsonville-York defense is going to be handle that offense. I mean, it's not only Joey Burrow. You've got the Lorman twins, McIntosh, Skyler Schwartzel, very savvy receivers that really contribute on offense.
A lot of weapons. All right, well, next week at Nelsonville-York, you guys be tuning in. Now, if you'd like to keep up with Nelsonville-York or any of our other teams throughout the week, check us out on social media. You can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Gridiron Glory for score updates, pictures, and more. You can also follow my host Twitter account at gghost_JAUSH. There you can get my opinions on weekly matchups, ask any questions, and let me know who you think will win each game of the week. Now, it's now time on our show for Fan of the Week. Tonight, we traveled out to Stuart to see the Federal Hocking crowd, and while myself and the fans were a little hesitant to party in the rain, these Lancers showed me a good time. Excuse me, Bessie, here. We're looking for a Fan of the Week. We were wondering if you have any stake in the choices this week for Fan of the Week. Don't think so. All right, Bessie, am I that scary? Is it that bad? I know I have a hood on, but I'm not that mean, I promise. We're talking to Bessie. Come on, Dora, leave us alone. Dora's always stealing the attention. Bessie, Dora! Are you a great Federal Hocking fan? Well, that's not a good answer if you want to be fan of the week. Yeah, I'm a huge Lancers fan. Yeah, huge, right? Are you even from Federal Hocking? All right, just wanted to make sure. I mean, you seemed a little shy. I just wanted to make sure. Here, wet roads. We almost got into a T-bone accident. Do you have any ideas on driving safer? Free T-shirt for the winner, okay? I know you're in high school and free T-shirts are awesome, okay? I know you're in middle school and free T-shirts are awesome. I made Dora mad. Dora is not exploring me right now. I'm sorry, Dora. All right, well, we're gonna go. God, it's raining harder.
Well, this is. Get wet.
Are you a big fan of Federal Hocking? I saw you dancing up here. Can you show us those dance moves? What if I do them with you? Hocking, are you a good fan?
Yeah, sure.
Can you prove it to us?
No.
I'm trying. I'm basically just trying to give away a T-shirt. No one's interested. There we go. Say, go Fed Hawk.
Go Federal Hawk.
Oh, you gotta yell it for me.
Go Federal Hawk.
There we go. Dora. That sounds like a fan of the week right there. Dora, you think you have what it takes to be our fan of the week? Don't be shy, Dora. The T-shirt is yours if you yell "Go Fed Hawk" as loud as you can and dance with me one more time, okay? You ready? On the count of 3, we're gonna yell "Go Fed Hawk." Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Go Fed Hawk!
And then you gotta dance. You gotta dance. Fan of the week, congratulations. Here you go. Oh, there you go. Congrats to you, Olivia, and thanks for showing me some of those silky dance moves. Now, Federal Hocking's football team is right on the edge of making just their second playoff appearance in school history. Tonight, they hosted conference opponent Eastern, who is 5-3 on the year. And since it was senior night, Kyle Jackson and the other 7 seniors wanted to make sure that their fans' appetite for a victory was satisfied. We're now welcomed by our TVC-Hocking reporter, Keith Turner. Keith, there was a lot riding on this game for both teams.
Well, absolutely, Josh. And can I just give you Keith's tale of the tape real quick? Coming into tonight, Eastern had a 10 seed in Division 6, Region 23, and FedHawk, 13 seed, Division 5, Region 19. Both teams needed this win. Not to mention, last year, FedHawk pulled off a 1-point victory against the Eagles, and it's senior night for the Lancers. Needless to say, Josh, HBO needed to be at this heavyweight main event fight.
Sounds
and
like
Kyle
it.
Jackson, that's the big senior, Josh. He's looking for a big play, but it would be Eastern coming out swinging. Joey Scouting, first play from scrimmage for Eastern, finds a wide open Chase Cook, a 74-yard touchdown. That would put them up 6-0, but they wouldn't be finished yet. Extra point holder, Daske Facemeyer, pitches it back to Marks Carnahan, who's going to find Troy Gant. The 2-point conversion would be good, 8-0 Eagles. Next kickoff return, though, Romy Casey's going to try to bust some tackles. A very tough run for the young man. He's going to put FedHawk into some great field position, but FedHawk can't get it going here. A third down, a big sack for Eastern. The ball is loose. FedHawk would recover and have to punt. Next possession, though, Ethan Nottingham. He's going to take it 64 yards. Big plays was the answer for the Eagles all night. A shoelace tackle by Pete Crum, which would actually save them a touchdown. Eagles have to kick a field goal, 11-0. They're up. Second quarter now. How about Delbert Pete Crum? A 53-yard touchdown puts the Eagles on the board, 11-7. He had 162 yards on the night, and that would fire up Coach Hoffman, giving his team a little bounce there. But he wouldn't be happy long, because next possession, Scouting's going to find Alex Amos, 66 yards. Josh, get this. He had 202 yards on only 5 completions.
That's a good average.
Absolutely. Big plays, 17-7 at half. But this game finished in crazy fashion as well. 2 safeties, a touchdown for Eastern in the fourth quarter, and then also 2 touchdowns for Federal Hocking. That put them down by 2 on a 4th and 1 with about a minute left to play. FedHawk was forced offsides. Eastern would get the huge victory. They nailed it. A very difficult senior loss for the Lancers tonight.
A lot of action late there, Keith, but Eastern gets the win, and that looks like it'll do it for FedHawk in the playoffs, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I mean, coming into the night, we checked, they were number 13 seeded in Region 19, and they needed some help just to get into the playoffs, and the tough loss tonight looks like it will take them out of the playoff contentions.
All right, well, on the other hand, Eastern, with a win next week and a little bit of help, they might be in.
Absolutely. Basically, for Eastern, it's win or go home. They control their own destiny from here. They had a 10 seed. They may be able to move up with a tough victory at Federal Hocking. So Eastern and Coach Tennant may be very exciting to watch this upcoming week.
All right, big win for Eastern. Thanks a lot tonight, Keith. Now, while Tri-Valley has lived up to, or maybe even exceeded all of our expectations, the mighty Generals of Sheridan have fallen. Head coach Paul Culver Jr. told us that he genuinely doesn't remember the last time his team lost 4 straight games. But even though this usual rivalry may have seemed skewed this year, the fact that the Sheridan was on the road may have actually played in their advantage. We're now joined live in Dresden by our MVL reporter Nathan Takich. Nathan, talk a little bit about the away team's success in this rivalry.
That's right, Josh. You know, in the last 5 matchups between the Tri-Valley Scotties and the Sheridan Generals, the winner has gone on to win the MVL title. But interestingly enough, the visiting team has won each of those 5 games. Player of the Year candidate Austin Jones would try to end that streak tonight. They would be up 21-0 early, but there was a fake punt by the Sheridan Generals, Ross Holbrook for 25 yards, and they would get a first down. Luke Fox now rolling right and hitting his buddy Connor Smith for the touchdown. The PAT would be no good, 21-6 Tri-Valley within 2 scores. Sheridan looking for a big stop now. Third and 10 for Nathan Strock. He hits his buddy Chris Michael across the middle of the field for 22 yards and a big first down. Then 4th and 7 on the next play. Nathan Strock hits Ian Moran across the middle of the field for 13 yards and a touchdown, making it 28-6 Tri-Valley. Luke Fox trying to get back in the game for the Generals. He hits 10-yard pass for a first down, and then 2 plays later, the Generals would give it right back. Luke Fox, deep pass middle, intercepted by Trevor Kriskop, and the Scotties would capitalize. A touchdown by Austin Jones, 5 yards untouched, 35-6 Tri-Valley. Get the ball back with 51 seconds left, trying to score by halftime. 3rd and 21, Austin Jones with a rush that had 26 of his 185 yards of the night for a big first down. Nathan Strock would hit Trevor Criscup a couple plays later on the screen for a 24-yard touchdown. They can get 42-6 Tri-Valley at the half. Tri-Valley would run down the clock. Backup Brock Fargus on the keeper would score a touchdown, and the the Scotties from Tri-Valley would be happy about the victory.
All right, Nate, well, we're always talking about that Tri-Valley offense, but their defense has been turning some heads as well.
That's right, Josh. A lot of people give Tri-Valley credit for the #1 offense in the MVL, but they also have the #1 defense. They've been hitting hard, they've been soaring to the ball, and they've been causing a lot of chaos for opposing offenses. And that's what got Sheridan tonight.
All right, well, Tri-Valley is heading to Philo next week. Do they finish the season perfect? What do you think?
I think they do. They're so tough to defend. They can almost score at will. They score astronomical amounts of points every single week. And Philo just coming off this tough loss against Maysville. It's going to be really demoralizing for them. You got to expect the Scotties to pull this one out.
All right, well, they're perfect as of right now. Thanks a lot out there, Nate. Now, it's not very often that Tri-Valley-Sheridan matchup isn't the premier matchup in Week 9, but it's hard to ignore the success from Philo and Maysville. With both of these teams having solid defenses and well-rounded offenses, it seems they have a very similar recipe for success. They are also similar in the fact that they both needed this win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Bringing those factors into the fact that this is a rivalry game and you have one killer game of the week. Ooh, that gave me chills. We're now joined with our MVO reporter, Colin Brown, to talk about the game. Colin, this one definitely lived up to the hype.
Oh, no doubt about that, Josh. You know, it was senior night at Maysville, and the emotions were just flowing. The crowd was electric, and I'm not just talking about those Philo fans. With the game between these two teams last year being separated by only 1 point, I had a feeling that tonight's game would be another close matchup. Those Maysville fans were loud all night despite that rain. First possession for the Panthers. Jordan Hayes, the 41-yard run, bounces it outside, breaks a couple tackles there, down to the goal line, but couldn't score. 2 plays later, though, he punches it in, 7-0 Maysville. But Philo would answer right back from 1st and 10, the 37-yard line. Nathan DeLozier, the touchdown run to tie things up 7-7. Now we take you to the second half. After an onside kick for Philo, they don't get it. Good field position for Maysville. Quarterback Jacob Miller keeps it himself, takes it into Philo territory. 2 plays later, Eli Chambers on 1st and 10 from the 38-yard line, takes it all the way for the touchdown, 14-7 Maysville. Now it's late in the third quarter. 3rd and 2, Caleb Wiseman keeps the drive alive, gets the first down. 4 fingers, Josh, you know what that means? It is fourth quarter. The field goal by Slade Moore, 29 yards, makes it 14-10, Maysville with the lead. But Maysville on 3rd and 17 from the 13-yard line, Miller is sacked at his goal line. So instead of risking a blocked punt for a touchdown, they take an intentional safety.
Risky.
It's now 14-12, Maysville leads Philo. Philo's driving. 3rd and 5 from the 43-yard line. Who else? Nathan DeLozier, the run left, 19 yards. Philo's looking good right now. And then after 2 holding calls, it's 4th and 10, 41-yard field goal for the win. Slade Moore puts it wide right, and then Maysville runs the clock out, ends up winning 14-12 was the final score there. So that field goal would have made a difference, but
that's got to hurt for Philo.
Just couldn't get it down the middle.
Got to hurt for Philo. Hey, like we kind of expected, Colin, there was a lot of rushing in this game.
Oh, no doubt about that. The two teams combined for 82 carries, 420 total yards of rushing.
That's
and then
outrageous.
As far as passing, 2 for 7 passing, 19 yards. Philo didn't even convert a passing attempt. They were 0-3, Maysville 2-4. So granted, it had a lot to do with the rain, but A lot of running.
All right, well, entering tonight, Maysville was already in the playoffs. With this win, it kind of seems like they're a lock, wouldn't you say?
You know, I can't say 100% sure that they're going to be in the playoffs, but next week they play a Morgan team who has struggled all season. So it would really seem like Maysville is going to be able to lock up that playoff spot, and that'll be the first time in school history that the team's in the playoffs.
Definitely exciting things happening over in Maysville. Now, on the other side, Philo. They got a big game next week against Tri-Valley. What do they need to improve on?
Well, tonight it's hard to tell because of the rain. They had to run so much, but they really have to establish that pass because, like you heard Nathan saying, that Tri-Valley defense is so good that you have to extend the field. So they're going to have to be able to throw, have to be able to run, but really the big key is not to give up big plays. That's what really did it for Maysville. You saw some of those long runs, 41 yards, 38 yards. So runs like that you have to limit.
All right, real quick before we let you go. Philo or Tri-Valley, who are you taking week 10?
Tri-Valley, no doubt about it.
All right, really easy answer for this guy. All right, now to keep up with our coverage every day of the week, log on to our website at woub.org/gridiron. There you can find game previews, videos, score updates, and everything on our featured teams. You can also find standings, playoff seedings, and previews of our Player of the Year finalists. Now, it's now time on our show for the superstar portion. So if any of you players out there think you had a great play tonight, stop what you're doing and listen to me because it is now time for our plays of the week. We're going to start things out at number 3, Williamstown's David Hastings doing things on defense right here with the pick and then the 6, taking it back the other way. 7-0 here. That would be the only points of the game, the deciding ones. Williamstown wins 7-0. At number 2 now, first play of offense for Eastern. Quarterback Joey Scowden drops back in the pocket, lays a nice pretty ball over the middle to his wide receiver Chase Cook. He'll take it the rest of the way, 74-yard touchdown. I'd tell you the final score, but we're coming right back to this play for the number 1 play of the day. On that touchdown's extra point, Doss K. Facemeyer, the holder, flips it to Max Carnahan, who throws it to Troy Grant. 2-point conversion. That would end up deciding the game, 25-23. Now that's all the highlights we have for you tonight. But before we let you go, don't you want to know where Gridiron Glory is headed in Week 10? Check it out.
Hopefully you've been soaking up all the action from the past few weeks because Week 10 is already here. Adam Lindemuth and the talented offense of Parkersburg will finish their regular season at home when they take on South Charleston. In the TVC-Hocking, Federal Hocking is facing a must-win game at Trimble if the Lancers want any chance of making the playoffs. Tri-Valley, on the other hand, controls their own destiny en route to the postseason, but the Scotties' route to an MVL title will have to go through the stout defense of the Philo Electrics. We'll be heading out to Gallia Academy's matchup against Jackson to select our next Fan of the Week. Also, for the 3rd year in a row, a piece of the SCOAL title will be decided by the winner of that game. Our Game of the Week will feature the rematch we've all been waiting for between Athens and Nelsonville-York. These teams have positioned themselves back to the top of the TVC-Ohio and should make for one high-scoring conference championship.
Hey, well, that will do it for Week 9, folks. Tonight, Tri-Valley and Gallia Academy clinched at least a share of their conference title, while Nelsonville-York and Athens positioned themselves for another TVC-Ohio championship game in Week 10. The voting for Gridiron Glory's Player of the Year begins right now, so start emailing us at playeroftheyear@woub.org. So be sure to check us out in Week 10. Until then, and for the entire crew, I'm Jaush Huntsberger reminding you that there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.